It's not easy to be here.
It's great to be here. It's great to be here.
So before we begin, I know we're running a little late. I know time is precious. There's so many things that the senator has to run on to, and Brad as well. Appreciate you coming in from out of town. Without unnecessarily overdue introduction, I want to shout out Brad and his leadership. Brad first introduced the concept of providing every child with a $1,000 investment account at birth in 2020. He believed that in order to slow the accelerating wealth gap, which is such a critical issue that we all care about and have been talking about and fighting for generations, it's essential that every child has a direct investment in the markets, in tangible results in their accounts. The Invest America vision was gaining momentum in a CNBC interview that went viral, and then he partnered with his children to build an app to help create an opportunity for that investment. He then launched the Invest America Foundation to help lead research, coalition-building research, educational efforts necessary to promote financial literacy, something we care deeply about. We have a lot of our financial literacy partners here, Valley, Encouraging, a lot of others that help amplify incredible messengers being the tools to help support our kids in their journey for financial literacy and being owners of their own financial accounts. This momentum culminated in Invest America CEO Council, which has CEOs like Dell, CEOs from Uber, Goldman Sachs, NVIDIA, etc. And we were just talking earlier with Brad that has landed notable and historic investments in this foundation, in this fund. I believe the Dell's
$6.25 billion. $250 million directed to 25 million American children.
So helping bring others along this critical journey has been Brad's calling. He has a personal story around that, which I would hope that he shares with the group. And then without much need, this is his home, Senator Booker. The partnership is
Very long commute this morning. A few hundred yards.
Just knocked over. And I want to share just a personal vignette. Senator Booker helped launch this Big Brothers Big Sisters chapter. He was one of those people that helped encourage the start of this, talked to me in our national office to launch this organization when it had closed its doors. He believes in the power of mentoring. He believes in the power of person-to-person connection, that real change happens on the ground from you to me and people in our communities in this way. And then policies at a highest level, he has been one of the fiercest advocates on behalf of our communities. Policies are one thing, people are another. I will share that we took our kids, a lot of our kids moved to Ghana, are here with us. And he took an interest in this global leadership program that was very personal, as well as pushing, advocating for policies and ways to kind of facilitate our interactions globally. We went to China, we went to London, we went to Ghana. Personally donated for this trip, and when we went to the point of no return, many of our kids remember that day was a very emotional day. Senator Booker wanted to check us through texting, and he said, "How are the children feeling?" And I said, "It's a rough day." And he said, "Well, can I FaceTime? Are they with me?" And so Senator Booker personalized the experience, not just as a donor, not just as a policy advocate, not just as a supporter of an organization, but take care of it. And that's what the senator has been for all the years I've known him, 25 years plus. And without further ado, I let the senator take us off. Senator Booker.
Let me just tell you, this is one of the more exciting periods for me to see something coming to fruition that I've been working on for almost a decade. About 2018, I introduced legislation called the Baby Bonds legislation. This idea that every kid could have a individual investment account at their birth. And what was extraordinary to me as I was doing the research, 2016, 2017, is I just started seeing the extraordinary transformations that happen for young people who know there's an account there for them when they get to be 18. It literally has a chance of multiplying the percent chance that they go to college, transforms their life outcomes. It not only has a practical financial impact, but it has a spiritual impact as well, knowing that we are taking advantage of one of the most powerful forces in the global economy called the power of compounding interest. Now, you have a great idea, that's one thing, but how do you get that idea into practice? One of the reasons why I'm so excited here is because a number of years back, I found this extraordinary man. There's an old saying, there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. And he and I found ourselves completely resonant on this vision for our country, that every child, especially children that are not born from wealth or privilege, but every child in America can have one of these seeded accounts, and that we could inspire a nation of philanthropy to really empower our children so that 10, 20 years from now, we can have, in all the countries in the world, the country where all of our children have great education, have great health, have great well-being, and have great financial prowess by the time they become 18 to achieve any one of their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited today. We have taken a significant step in that direction, and I'm grateful to be here in my city with a man that is deeply implicated in this wonderful, wonderful thing that's happening, and I'm so grateful for you, Brad, to be here with me.
Well, thank you, Senator. I was inspired by your words around baby bonds. But as you said, we have to get it passed into law,
Yes.
and then we actually have to do it. Your inspiring words in 2018, when you introduced the legislation, when you ran for president, are the things that catalyzed my thinking with my children. So we asked the question, what are the things we need to do in order to actually get this passed into law? And what happened in July 4th of last year as part of the reconciliation bill is we passed into law something called the Invest America Act. And this was the first senator I went and pitched this crazy idea to. And I said, I think you were spot on with baby bonds, but there are a few changes we could make that I think could get it over the finish line. And so let me just explain the Invest America Act. So it's 26 pages of legislation, amendment to the tax law that was included in the reconciliation bill. It had broad bipartisan support as a standalone, right? And so we have 80+% on both sides of the aisle who support this. So the idea is very simple. And this is now the law of the land. Every child born forevermore will get an investment account at birth, stapled to their social security number, seeded with $1,000 in the S&P 500 that will compound for their life. This is not a dream. This is not my. He helped make this happen, right? He forged partnerships across the aisle with the people that would make it happen. Now, it doesn't stop there, okay? It's in the equity market. You can't touch it. You can't trade it, but you can add to it. So every mom and dad can add $5 or $10 a week. Just Venmo or Apple Pay the money. It'll be right on your phone. You just put the money in the account. We have corporations across the country and across the state of New Jersey who've now raised their hand and said, we're going to put money in for the kids of our employers or employees, right? So it becomes a corporate benefit like a 401k. And then we have great philanthropists. We were just talking about some here in the state of New Jersey who I think we'll be announcing shortly. But philanthropists like the Dells or Dalio who are adopting states, who are adopting cities. One of the things, first, thank you for hosting us, extraordinary organization. But one of the things we talked about this morning, for every child who signs up from Big Brothers, Big Sisters, I'm personally going to add a $100 bonus into each of their accounts, right? So it's a flexible account structure that can grow. So how does this work? If you start with $1,000.
But can you just stop right there?
Yes.
Because I'm just glossing over these big announcements you're making. You need a little more pizzazz. What did you just say for you're going to do, please, one more time?
Yeah, so I think we have about 1,000 kids in the organization. If we get all 1,000 of them signed up, then I'll be giving $100,000 to the organization. But that's, Cory, you and I talked about that from the beginning, the art of the possible. What if we made this an open source infrastructure of universal private ownership in America that could inspire a generation where everybody can add a load to? If you start with $1,000, okay, so this is going to be on all your phones.
And by the way, this is a piece you added to it that was beyond my vision when I started thinking about this 10 years ago. The fact that kids, like you check your Instagram account, you could literally open up an app on your phone and see the growth of your account. Trust me, he and I know a lot of people who look at their Fidelity accounts every day.
This is called, for the big brokerage firms, this is called the money page.
Yes.
The money page gets all the action.
Yes.
This is like, how much do I have and what is it in? And we're going to show every kid in America in the 7th grade, they own a little bit of Nike. They own a little bit of Apple. They own a little bit of Nvidia. They own Walmart. They're in the game of America because you can't get excited if you're not in the game.
And some of the philanthropy that people are talking about is donating stock to people.
Yes.
So some of the charitable contributions, as people with wealth might want to not do the stepped-up basis or avoid the tax, they're going to donate their stock directly. So there may be 1,000 kids, and you donate 1,000 shares of stock, one for each kid. So it's actually going to teach a lot to young people early in their lives, not only about the power of compound interest, not only how our economy works, but really a lot of more nuances in financial planning. It's going to be extremely
For sure. And if you start with $1,000 and you get it matched at birth, and you add just $10 a week, okay? We've done a lot of studies. Here, there's this misnomer in the country that poor cohorts don't save. Not true. Not true. The Jamaican seamstress who I met, who's sticking cash under her mattress for her kids, is sacrificing everything to make sure they have a better future. The problem is that people who are economically disadvantaged don't have accounts. And when you don't have an account, you don't know where to start. So we're going to get everybody over the cold start problem. If you start with $1,000, you match it, you add $10 a week. At age 18, that is $50,000. At age 30, that is $200,000. And if you did that every week of your life, at age 55, that is $1 million, right? It is not heroic. It's the power of compounding. But we have to start by getting every kid into the game. And so the passage of the Invest America Act, the support from the senator, the idea gets us to this moment. On Saturday of this year, the legislation required that the accounts be launched. July 4th, 2026, the 250th anniversary of our country, we're going to have a new American birthright. That's going to be different than any birthright that came before it. In 1935, we amended the social contract and we created Social Security. At another moment in time, where people were anxious about democracy, anxious about capitalism, said this isn't working for me. They were anxious about the Industrial Revolution replacing jobs. Okay? Very similar to this moment in time. And folks like Senator Booker have risen to the cause and said we need a new American birthright. Every child a shareholder. Every child a shareholder. So today you have to go sign up for the account. So one of the things this organization...
Today we will be signing people up too and helping spread the word within our case management system. Shaman's got a tablet in the back afterwards.
Because I want to get to those 1,000 kids that we can take
Exactly.
all of
No,
this
trust me,
money.
it's coming. But we're going to work together to make the accounts auto-created at birth. I don't want people to have to sign up and somebody's got 2 jobs, they miss out, then their kid doesn't get it. We need every kid in America to get this as an automatic birth.
Frictionless automatic startup is so important. It's a vital component that we're really working on. So that's why I'm so excited that he and I are committed. And I think for everybody knows, like when we were talking about this on the way in, when we launched Social Security during the FDR period, it wasn't perfect. It took years of Congress tinkering with it, and still even to this day we have to do tinkering. So we want this idea to grow, to get better, to get easier, to make sure that everybody has a runway to financial empowerment beyond what we've ever had before for every single American citizen as a birthright.
Here, I have another show and tell here. State of New Jersey, this is by county, I'm going to give this to you. State of New Jersey, we have over 100,000 kids who today are eligible to get $1,000 just for opening their account. In the state of New Jersey, we have another 900,000 kids eligible to get $250 just for opening their accounts. So we have 1 million kids we need to sign up in New Jersey just to get their free money and their shares of Nvidia and Microsoft and Apple, right? And so, yes, I want to make it automatic. We need to make it even easier. But in the meantime, we need to spread the word, get people to sign up for these accounts. Listen, I'm gonna take on one elephant in the room. They're called Trump accounts. Okay? That's just the name of the law. Okay? There are Roth IRAs named after Senator Roth and Pell Grants named after Senator Pell. There are a lot of people who don't like that they're named Trump accounts. You bit your lip and you said these are good notwithstanding that fact. So can you just talk to us a little bit, Cory, about Like how you reconcile those two things?
I worked my life trying to empower children in the state of New Jersey, in the city of Newark, in the nation. If I could see myself, if you told me, Cory, for millions and millions of children, we're going to create, you're going to have your vision, you're going to have an independent sort of investment account for every single child, but they're going to be called the Darth Vader accounts. I don't care what the name of the account is. I am looking for empowering children. Names do not matter in the end. And how do I know this? I was a mayor. There are names of schools here. There are names of streets here of really incredible Newarkers, but most kids don't know when they're going to a school, even the name on it. What really matters is the purpose of these accounts. And so yes, it has been biting my lip, but I have worked with the president. I have worked with Ted Cruz. I just wrote an editorial, really calling on philanthropists all around the country to invest this vehicle. At the end of the day, what I care about is not a name. I care about children. I care about children's economic empowerment. And I know that what we are seeding right now, give a child a dream. Give a child the strength to achieve that dream. Give the child some seed capital. There is no limitations on what an American child can do if they're given the resources and support to go for their dreams. My mom has this saying. She says, behind every successful child is an astonished parent. I promise you that our children are going to astonish us, especially if we give them the seed capital that they might need to buy a house, to start a business, to invent something, to advance their career. It is an extraordinary thing. Now think about this. We're doing this today, but 20, 25 years from now, the ground that we're seeding is going to reap a harvest beyond our dreams that will truly astonish each and every one of us and our nation.
We've shared our own stories. I grew up in poor rural Indiana. My dad had lost everything. And as I said at an event at the White House a year ago, going from 0 to 1 is the hardest journey you're ever going to have in life. Right? I've been incredibly fortunate. Going from 1 to 2 got easier, 2 to 3 easier. Going from 10 to 100, really easy. Going from 0 to 1 seems insurmountable. Former President Clinton said to me, you're solving the crisis of hopelessness, right? It's a crisis that 60 to 70% of people in this country feel. They feel left out and left behind, that capitalism no longer works for them. They don't believe in the American dream because they seem to be doing everything that everybody says they should do, right? I borrowed money, I went to college, I worked hard, and I can't get ahead. I've got debt. And so we have, for the next 250 years, our job is to preserve, right? That promise, that posterity, that American dream. And this is an important step, a huge modification to our social contract in this country that says today, every child is going to be appended to the American dream.
And I will say this honestly, there's a lot of Americans that are losing faith in the American dream. The system just seems rigged. People are losing faith in a free market capitalist system because we're seeing wealth become more and more concentrated, and the capital that everybody needs to invest to grow seems less and less available. We know this. In fact, our tax code is written in a way where a lot of the tax avoidance is to the top of the people. People that are working class people have less tools than the wealthiest have. And so this to me was a way to start to try to level the playing field. It is an extraordinary change to our tax code that for the first time is saying that, hey, people, this is the American dream. Anybody born anywhere can achieve anything. That's the idea. But why is it that so many of our young people who are born in this great country do not have the resources? And I'm going to give you an example of this. 529 accounts. This is something that is something you could invest in for your child's college education. I did it in a working class neighborhood, working middle class people. I asked them, how many people here have 529 accounts? And nobody could raise their hands. That is overwhelmingly used by people in the top quintile. And it's a tax avoidance measure to comp people with wealth to create more wealth. We need to be doing more things in our society to help people born without to to have the same kind of advantages of people that are born with. And so for me, this is a powerfully progressive idea that says, hey, if we're going to secure this free market system, we've got to make it fairer. You can't create a system that just seems rigged to everybody but the people that are benefiting from it. And I've heard on CNBC and other things, people started talking about, hey, capitalism is in crisis because we have more and more people in this country that are not seeing the system work for them. I want to create opportunity for all. I want to make sure that we have a nation that we're widening avenues so that the exceptional story of your life, being born with nothing, being born poor, is not a lifetime sentence, but it's actually, this is the best nation in the world. If you were going to be born poor, on the bottom rung of the ladder, this is the nation where you're going to find the most opportunity. And one of the most powerful tools a young person has is time and the power of compounding interest. But I don't want to throw back to the 1970s, but there was a song, nothing plus nothing equals nothing. You got to have something. Somebody.
0 to 1.
Thank you very much, Billy Preston fans. I now know how old you are, Rabbi. So nothing plus nothing equals nothing. But if you have something and you can seed it, it's going to grow over time. So again, this is a bipartisan effort. There are a lot of people like me that said, I don't care what they're called. I don't care who gets credit. I just want to see a day where every child born in the state of New Jersey, no matter what your background or what your circumstances, you get a seed account that can grow dreams for you beyond your imagination.
It's extraordinary, and I think that you asked me a question this morning. You said, well, what are the most misunderstood things about the accounts? Well, the first one is nobody knows about them, right? Like we passed this law, and nobody knows they exist.
So on that note,
Yes.
how do we encourage incredible messengers that we have in the lives of our children? What message do you want to let them know to enjoy this amongst us?
Yes. So the optimistic view here is the hard part. We climbed the mountain. We got it passed. Okay. It took 5 to 10 years for America to believe in Social Security. Okay. And so it's going to take a little bit of time. But working with our schools, our churches, our organizations, incredible organizations like this, who are trusted members of their communities, to get everybody signed up. Now, I want to reduce all the friction and sign them up automatically, but let's just assume that for at least the foreseeable future, we'll have to do some work. So we get them all signed up, and then we're going to have to teach people, add $10 a week, and then wrap financial literacy around this. It can't be a top-down. This needs to be a million flowers, a million applications. I describe it this way. The Invest America Act is iOS. That's Apple, right? That's your Apple. But we all use applications on top of Apple, like Uber or Instagram. Big Brothers Big Sisters is an application on top of the Invest America Act. All of these organizations across the country, schools, churches, foundations, etc. And so the good news is this. We're coming out of the gates. We have millions of people who've already claimed their accounts. We need to get that up to 30 or 40 million people claiming their accounts. We have extraordinary pipeline of extraordinary Americans. This has made me so optimistic about America. Can I just say, on the eve of our 250th anniversary, it made me incredibly optimistic about America because of the bipartisan spirit. You know, everybody tells us everything that's broken in Washington. If we read our doom scrolls, right, you know, it's demoralizing. But I'm telling you, from the far left to the far right, I found people of goodwill who care deeply about the kids of this country, who wanted to solve this problem. Secondly, yes, we have a wealth gap problem. Let's take it head on. We have far too much concentration of wealth, but that is a feature, not a bug of our system. We want the Elon Musk creating the things he creates, but we would also like to see the Elon Musk giving back, right? And what I have found, Senator, is this is unique among countries on the face of the planet. Every other country creates wealth in order to build dynastic generation-skipping trusts and all these things to keep the wealth to themselves. When the Dells raised their hand and said, we want to give $6.25 billion, I promise you, there are many more Dells coming behind them to add money into the accounts of your kids and the kids across the country. We're going to demonstrate with this This is a platform, a totally transformational platform for giving and philanthropy to get money directly to the kids of America. And so I've been incredibly encouraged by both of those things, but we got work to do.
Carlos, go ahead.
Senator answered the question about how do we encourage the message for credible messengers, and we have time for one or two questions as well. But Senator,
Yeah, look, this is my hope is, I don't want any child in New Jersey to miss out on this opportunity. And so each and every one of you should not just be thinking in your mind, how do I help my kids, my nieces, my nephews get this account, but how can I be a messenger to other people? So we're going to give you some very basic information, literally a basic link, frankly, that you could be putting on your social media and say, hey, this may sound too good to be true, but there is free money for your child out there. Because I want New Jersey to be one of the great adopters of this. Because every child we get, it's not just getting them $250 from Dell, it's not just getting them the initial seed money from the federal government, it's getting, for 20 years from now, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a child or possibilities for families. So please, right now, take this information, take the simple link of where to go so you can get the process of doing it. I'm going to work I'm going to work as your senator very hard to end the friction to make these automatically set up for every child. Right now, we haven't won that battle, so we have to get the message out. So please, push everybody, go to the link to get the information, to set them up for their children. A little bit of work, seed some money that produces a tremendous outcome years from now for that child. Not to mention the education of getting that app on your phone linked to your account. That is a powerful educational tool. Trust me, young people will look at that information regularly to see how much money. They'll talk about it with their friends. I'm up $1,000. I'm up $1,500. When I'm 18, I'm going to have the money I want to go to college or to start my incredible entrepreneurial career.
speaking of young people, we have a question for either of our alumni.
If this was around when you were a kid, what would this have looked like for you?
Dear God, let's start with this. Let's just say I had $1,000, and I was an industrious kid. I was a hustler. There wasn't a snow day that I wasn't running around with a shovel, trying to overcharge people who need to get their cars out. I used to mow lawns as a kid. My first job was helping my best friend with his paper route. Every way I hustled, and my parents told me of the importance of savings. But I didn't have a vehicle like this. I think if I had that app on my phone, it's like gamifying my life. And I think I would have been investing a lot more money. So let's just put it right now, my wife would be much happier. She was married a much wealthier man last year. But it would have been transformative to me in terms of the options that I have. And for me, at my life, I'm now in my 50s, and I'm thinking of retirement security. And a lot of people in their middle age don't have. We have a retirement crisis going on in America. When he gave that simple data point that you could be a millionaire in your 50s if you were doing nothing but saving $10 a week plus a seed account, that's assuming that there isn't this wave of philanthropy that we're trying to generate that goes into that. Think of every American being a millionaire by the time they retire, having that kind of security to add to Social Security and more. So God, I wish we had this 50 years ago when I was singing songs in the 70s and had this beautiful afro. I wish we had it then. But now, I'm going to try to make sure going forward we have it for every child in America.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm going to be like Oprah here. Okay.
So good to see you again, Senator. Lovely to see you, Suzanne Curry. I just wanted to start by saying that I'm here after 40 years on Wall Street, and I run the Duke of Edinburgh International Award. It's a program for 14 to 24-year-olds. And we struggle all the time because we have kids. We have 16 schools in Newark where we have our program. And we have kids that are accepted to Carnegie Mellon, to Brown, etc. And with the outrageous tuitions, there's no way that even if we cobble together certain amounts of money. So I think, number one, this is phenomenal. I think number two, when you're ready for president, you got a great vice president right here. Because Brad, you and I have met a long time ago in the hedge fund world. And I think it's a phenomenal program. We currently are rolling out the Duke of Edinburgh Award across the country. We have 8 million alumni. We have 1 million students taking our program. So let us carry your message. And I would really anticipate that that's probably the best way that we can be of help, to take our message and say, by the way, here's an opportunity for your kids. And we know even in Newark, Superintendent Leone, who is off the charts, he's amazing, he wanted to start a program called Newark Saves. And I looked at that and I brought it to Brian Moynihan at Bank of America, and I said, you guys got to back this thing. You're going to create customers for life, and you're going to let these kids have an opportunity. His metric was a little bit different. His metric was that once a child does something of positive nature in their school course, that they would get a $25 bonus in the account. Or, they joined the choir, or they had good attendance, or whatever the issue was. But this is the core of everything that's going to happen. And believe me, I know I'm talking too much, but I gotta tell you, it is exactly on the money, and anything I can do, Brad, you and I will talk, anything I can do to be part of that, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more back there. And then
Yes.
Just as he's passing the microphone, let me say, every school in the state of New Jersey can do exactly what was just described. A community member can donate directly to the school for the benefit of the kids in the school. We have schools across America. Katie and I just adopted a school in Durham, North Carolina. Okay, 750 kids, Black and Latino, and they're putting in place performance. Like if you have perfect attendance, you get a bonus, right? So the hard thing is we don't want every mayor in America having to recreate the wheel of savings programs with banks. We now have a universal infrastructure. All they have to do is dream and then talk to their community and do.
And that's, I just want to add this before we go to the question. That's the power of this. It's actually building a platform. That anything can be constructed on that platform by any philanthropist with an imagination. You could link this to volunteerism and service. You can link this to academic achievement. You can link this to you can link this to an employee benefit program. That's the beautiful thing, is we're establishing this platform that I think people are going to innovate on in ways that create all kind of positive incentives for kids. And that excites me. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. My name is Sarah Austin. I'm a Rutgers student. I'm currently in my junior year. And I work with Slash for a lot of different things, but I have a very big passion for social justice. So my question was, as a person who's a child of immigrants, how does this claiming this account work and look for people who may be, say, undocumented, and what would that process look like?
Yeah, I can take this on initially. First, I will say that you're looking at a senator who said to me from day one, he said, we got to make sure that when we say everyone, we mean everyone. Right? And so there was, passing something through the Senate is a hard thing. But in the last 2 weeks before this was passed, we waged a successful effort that was ultimately signed into law that neither parent has to be a citizen in order to get this account. The child has to have a social security number. Okay? And he knows the environment that we were operating in. That was not an easy victory for him. But we had a lot of people of goodwill on both sides that did the work necessary, that had built the political trust necessary, both with the White House and with their fellow senators, in order to get that done. So that expanded the pool by, I think, another 600,000 kids in America.
And let me just be blunt. He's describing a very difficult environment right now, where even children of undocumented parents, American-born children of undocumented parents, are having difficulty now accessing certain other benefits for families that would help food and things like that. So we are having a massive battle in Congress. The fact that we have been able to make this more progressive than a lot of the retrenchment we've been saying is a real victory. I'm a big believer. It anguishes me that we are a nation that has had dreamers here who don't even speak the language of the country they were born in because they came when they were 1 year old. They're not missing. These are battles for the future. I don't want to let perfect be the enemy of the good. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let 1 million children in New Jersey miss out on this because it's not including the other 50,000 that I really wish I could include, or 100,000 there'll be opportunities to improve this. I got pushback from progressive. Why would you partner with Ted Cruz and the president to create this? And I said, because this gives me a bipartisan commitment to this idea. And so when there's a Democratic president, say, then we can actually take it another step further, and nobody can say, I'm not going to get on board with this. It's what FDR said about Social Security. Let me just create this. As soon as I create it, nobody's going to take that benefit away. And so, for me, let's get out of the starting blocks on the anniversary, of the 250th anniversary of our country, with all the rigmarole going on. Let's see the counts for millions of children, and then in the future try to expand them to all the children that you and I would want to help us.
Let me just end today by first thanking my good friend and incredible senator, and hopefully once again presidential candidate in the future, Senator Cory. Give him a round of applause. He has reached across the aisle, and he's been an extraordinary partner to me in this journey. Let me also say that, July 4th, these accounts go live. That's this Saturday. It's an incredible celebration. We can find the things we agree on to celebrate the 250th anniversary. And if you think it's bad in the country right now, I urge you to watch the new Netflix series, right, about the 250 years that came before us, right? We have struggles, we have improvements we have to make, but this legislation is evidence that this country is in process, and all of us have an opportunity to improve it for the next 250 years. And finally, Monday morning, we're going to ring the opening bell for the first time in history for the NASDAQ and NYSE. Simultaneously, we designed a joint bell that will be rung from the Oval Office for the kids' birthright for the next 250 years in America. And to me, it gives me real hope. It gives me real gratitude for friends like you. But it also reminds me of the responsibility and the work that we have ahead of us to make the improvements, to include everyone, and to get everybody truly into the game of America. So thanks for having me.
And so let me end with this. 250 years ago, our country was founded with ideals by these imperfect geniuses to make this a nation that was, and they broke with the course of human events. They said this country would be founded not by people who all looked alike, but on basic common ideals that we were all created equal, endowed by our creators with certain inalienable rights. They ended the Declaration of Independence July 2nd, actually. They ended the Declaration of Independence 250 years ago with the very end. If this nation is going to work, we must mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That was the founding, this Declaration of Interdependence, that we all need each other. We need to pledge to each other that honor, that fortune. We need to make this a nation that shows the planet Earth that humanity really has this compact, this dignity, this respect. Now fast forward about 200 years later, and there was a man that stood on the Wall of Washington and talked about the promissory note that was written at our founding, and stands before his country demanding that that promissory note is fulfilled. And he spoke of a dream. Now most people don't remember that the pillars of the March on Washington had to do with civil rights, but most of the pillars of that march were for economic rights. That Martin Luther King, the dream of this country, the promissory note written our founders, he talked about economic justice. We are at a period in our nation right now where people are losing faith in the dream. They believe the economic system is rigged against them, and they have a whole lot of evidence that justifies that belief. This is not going to solve all of the problems, but the urgency we have right now, as inheritors of this legacy of 250 years ago, or the March on Washington decades ago, our mission in our lifetime is to redeem the dream of America. When it comes to the economic dream that King spoke of on the Wall of Washington, today I feel so grateful because the dream of a nation that is fair and free, the dream of a nation of an ever-expanding opportunity for every generation, I believe this is a significant step towards redeeming the dream for everyone. But I ask of every one of you, if you believe in this, if you believe that every child in New Jersey should have this capital at their birth to grow and compound over time, to fuel their dreams and their ambitions and their moral imagination about what's possible for their lives, their families in this country, then be a dream warrior yourself. Take the information we have held today, spread it. You never know that one child you help today, open one of these accounts, you will never know the incredible things they might do as a result of your being a dream warrior now. Let's all redeem the dream of America together. Thank you.
Dynamic duo. How you doing? Leaving?
No, I'm not here. This is
Share what? To give it to you? Yeah. I'm gonna put it on social media. But if you need a person, I got you. And when you get an opportunity, just give me my lip, my beard.
Thank you, Oxford Fraser, from Parents Engaging Parents, community organizer, focusing on, once again, civic awareness and a proactive community action of parents and community leaders. Once again, centering the community of who we are. I want to make sure that it's understood that us as parents, us as community leaders, us grassroots leaders, we are enough. And we want to make sure that this information today around the Trump account, understood as the baby bond, which Senator Cory started, and then put into the thinking into Congress back in 2018. So we come a long way. We want to make sure everybody knows this information. Outreach is engaging. Outreach is important, and engaging is important. So once again, we want to make sure we all understand this new account, this new opportunity for generational wealth that our children will be able to receive.
How you doing today? My name is Fraser. I'm junior. My father just spoke. And I want to put on to this opportunity for Newport kids to have $1,000 after they were just born. It's a good opportunity because if you keep adding money into that account as they grow up, by the time they're 18 and they want to go to college, they'll have enough money to go to college, have enough money not to be in debt. And as a student that has already graduated senior year, having that much money going into college or having that much money going into a business that you want to start is really good for
Job creation, y'all. We are doing business in a different way in Newark now. We're saying that if you're going to come in our city, or if you're in our city, you need to look to hire who? People in our city. We have successes. This is where sometimes the opposition wants to be just disagreeable. The opposition just needs to listen. We got people documented and see that since we have our team has been working in City Hall, we've been taking companies that were in Newark for years that we're not hiring enough people. The best example, one of the great partners is Continental. When we walked into office, Continental were only hiring 7% of their employees from the city of Newark. And through our working together, now we're up to almost 30% of their hires are coming from Newark. Literally thousands of jobs. And the thing people have to realize is we've got to get our people now ready to accept the jobs. Because we have so many companies that are ready to hire, and this has happened to me. And we got to be honest with each other. Where we send 20 people to a warehousing firm where they're hiring people $12, $13 an hour, but only 15 show up when they say they're going to show up, and then only half of that can pass a urine test. So we've got to make sure that we get our folks ready for the jobs that are out there. For the first time ever, or a long time, at least as long as I know,
our job finding programs down at 990 Broad Street, Newark Works we call it, remember they used to call it the MOET program, is now well over 50% of the people that walk through those doors are getting jobs. So we have to make sure the jobs are coming. We're telling developers that they're going to build here, they have to hire a certain percentage of local people. We're about to, and this is going to be exciting, and I say this because there's no press in the room, this document will be out in months from now. We're about to start going out and shutting down work sites in Newark, you know, if they don't hire local people. I'm almost done, and I'll put on this question. So this is the kind of attitude that we have to take, which says we are going to be determined to make sure that all Newarkers have the opportunities. But the flip side of that is to make sure that we are ready for an opportunity. One of my favorite sayings from this public speaker is this: better to not be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. Okay? So this is something we all got to know about. We've got to start pushing people towards 990 Broad Street. And if you know of folk who say, I've been to 990, I can't, then you bring them to see me personally. How do you see me? Because I have open office hours regularly. The next one, September 23rd, I'll be sitting at Arts High School for hours, just sitting there. And if people will have, you know people from our team, if anybody on our team knows people looking for a job at Mill 5, bring them directly to see me and let's have a conversation, okay? Directly. I'm very proud about the local builders building on local land. This is so amazing. We used to be a time when you saw, some people called it, I don't want to be mean like this, but the rosification of Newark. You know, a lot of the builders you saw putting up buildings on this house were a few select companies. And what we've done is that a lot of these lots, and you can read about it here on page 20, a lot of the lots in the city of Newark, we said are going to be built by Newark residents, and we're built by minorities. And now we have, especially in our West Ward, we built 100 lots there, but you see it also here in the Central Ward, minority and local companies building. We have a big program going on like that. Newark developers and builders getting on that. Affordable housing. This is a fact. Please tell people this. We're not where we need to be. We have a housing shortage still. But in 2 short months, we've doubled the production of affordable housing in the city of Newark. Doubled it. Yes, this last week, you guys, we had Bon Jovi here and announced another number of units for affordable housing and at-risk housing, special needs housing, people with AIDS. We've got housing going up for grandparents raising grandchildren. We've got housing going up for people who are recovering from drug addiction. A lot of different housing because we're focusing on creating housing for those workers before we're being left behind in the so-called renaissance. Let's just go forward really quick, almost there. Demolition task force, tearing down homes at a faster pace. I was out there this weekend looking at places that we're going to get more homes torn down because we know this. These abandoned homes become places for drugs, for crime, ultimately for fire that then threatens people next door. And the last thing is anybody who has to report people doing wrong and crimes. We have a new, this is one of the new positions we created last page. And who is he? Jimmy Wright, from the Central Ward, our team, a long-time, well-known guy. Mama was with me for years over here at Brick Towers. This is one of our local guys who's saving the city millions of dollars in savings. People doing everything from stealing gas to taking advantage of other things. This is the kind of things that are happening. So I know it's hot. I wanted to walk through that because I wanted you all to have the people that say, hey, look what we're doing on crime. Bam! Look what we're doing on economic power. Bam! You're looking for a job? Bam! Do this. You're a father who's coming home from prison? Here's a program for you. Bam! Recreation for kids. Look what's happening here. Pow! We want people to know the truth and not in political seasons to get caught up on rhetoric. But none of this would have been possible. None of this would have been possible if people like the folk in this room, some of them don't want to admit it, like Chef Benyard or like Phil Great, who saw me when I was just a 20-something kid and said, you know what, we're going to get behind you for the Central Ward Council seat, and then pull off the impossible, and upset a 4-term incumbent. People in this room from District 29 to District 5 to District 40 who believed in me, but not me. It wasn't about me. I was a running back. It was my turn to carry the ball. But believed in us as a city that we could begin to make the kind of dramatic change that was necessary for our community. But this is not over yet. We have a lot to do. Let me give you an example. I have to say, I go around a lot. I know what some of my strengths are. One of my strengths is asking for money. Okay? So I ask for money all the time. So from the charter school expansion fund, $25 million raising money for philanthropists, those parks that we're building, it's not coming all from government money. This is not our taxpayer dollars building all these parks. We created a public-private partnership. We got philanthropists. One guy gave $5 million for city parks out of his own pocket on a check for $5 million. Today we had one of the largest press conferences that drew people from literally from the White House, direct aides to the president in the White House, to the governor was here, all because we now got a grant for $5 million for ex-offender reentry programs here in the city of Newark, a pilot city in the entire nation, picking Newark, New Jersey as being a pilot city to supercharge ex-offender reentry programs. I'm so proud of that, but it all comes from grants from other agencies and nonprofits making those things possible. We're drawing down the resources to make Newark the model and the example for urban transformation. But none of this happened by accident. Many people in this room saw this 10 years ago. That's why we're achieving it now. People in this room did not give up on the dream of Newark 10 years ago. That's why we're experiencing it now. People in this room in February feel great. We're willing to stand on street corners and knock on doors with frozen toes and frozen fingers, trying to convince other people who might not otherwise vote to get it done. But I'm telling you right now, please, we're all emotionally invested in this campaign, and I know Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, fine-looking sister that she is, I know we're emotionally invested in this campaign for a lot of reasons. But let us not forget about what this is about. We want Barack Obama in the White House, not so we can say, hey, Barack Obama. That's not just about, it's not about that. It's about what can Barack Obama do for Newark, New Jersey. Right? Why did I take a risk? And this was a risk. A long time ago, we had some meetings, some people in this room, about where should we go. This was before anybody came out in the presidential election. There were a lot of good candidates in the primary, from Bill Richardson to Hillary Clinton. But we took a risk to be the first group, first organization, I dragged some of you all into it, to jump out real early for Barack Obama. That's right. Now, why did we jump out late? And by the way, look at the folks in Newark. I don't want to call out their names, but there's some elected officials, black elected officials and white elected officials in the city of Newark who were on Hillary Clinton's side. And who told me, I don't want to call their names.
That's right.
We're on the Obama train.
That's right.
Okay, but we stepped out way early. Why? Because we knew that when Barack Obama did win, he would remember those people. Right now, we need to understand something. That it's not about permanent friends or affection. I will work with anybody that brings resources to the city of Newark for help us to help achieve the American dream here. This is why I'm not shying away. The Bush administration just gave Newark $2 million. We can all say what we want about Bush. I think the war was the craziest endeavor. I think it will go down in history as probably one of the biggest mistakes that the United States of America has made, and made under false pretenses. Okay, so we could criticize, but I never want to get to the point where I'm so ugly that I'm blindly partisan and I'm missing opportunities because I'm too busy making my fists like this to fight. And so I always want to learn. I made some mistakes fighting, okay, too quick to fight. But we got to embrace people. So this whole prison reentry coalition, we've got right-wing people. There's a group called the Manhattan Institute in New York, leans a little to the right. They've given thousands of dollars to Newark's reentry program. We got left-leaning people at the Institute for Social Justice that's here, right here in Newark, New Jersey. We're bringing people together. But the thing is, I want no matter who's president of the United States, who's governor of New Jersey, excuse me, whoever the senator is, Lautenberg, and how hard we're working for him, I want them to know that when they get down there and they look over their shoulder behind from where they came from, or look over their shoulder back in Newark, New Jersey, they see that there is a politically organized, politically motivated, gonna turn out and vote, gonna do what's necessary to hold them accountable group of people that's gonna make it happen. Now, this is a great election because we're well positioned. If McCain wins, I'm telling you right now, don't talk about me, but I'm going to go down there and I'll be talking to John McCain about bringing resources back. dealing with a candidate, for a candidate to know that we were stepping out and fighting for them and nobody else, or many other people wouldn't fight for them. So we got a lot of blood in this Obama game. So I really need us to come out and fight. I really need us to work a little harder. I really need us to raise the voter turnout. I really need us to get on people who are saying, oh, he's going to win anyway, or hey, he's going to win New Jersey anyway. I really need us to do, I need to ask for the people who've given so much already, for me, for the Central Ward, for the Booker team, for Obama, who led, some people he got on a bus and went to Ohio, okay, to fight. But those primaries are over, Central Ward races are over that I ran in. I need you now. The last thing I'll say, then I'll answer some questions, is about the Central Ward Council race. This is the thing right now. We have a city council that, in my opinion, and I don't think you my opinion, you talk to people in the city clerk's office, have worked together as a team. You don't, no longer on the city council do you see the yelling and cussing and spitting that you used to see on the city council. We have a much better city council working together. And Jermaine and I talk about this all the time. We may have fights with individuals on the council, but 9 out of 10 things we all agree on. So when it's time for me to ask them for big things, like the summer job program coming up for kids, and help us get a little more money for that, or ask them to cooperate with legislation that's going to help Newark homeowners get more money for heating oil, or legislation that's going to help them get more money for environmentally green efforts in their building, or to pass more laws that we need to empower people, like the prevailing wage law or other things. We've got a great council. So we want to just make sure that whoever is elected to the Central Ward Council seat, that it's not going to be somebody that goes in there with a mission to be destructive, but it goes in there with a mission to be constructive. We want to make sure that they don't go with a mission to tear down, but they go in there with a mission to build up. Okay, we want to make sure that they go in there with a mission not to be a kamikaze pilot, just trying to crash and burn, but they go in there to be a healer, looking to heal and to grow and to love in the way that we want to try to do in the Central Ward. So this is going to be a tough decision. And I have to say it's going to be a tough decision because even within our own circle, there are a lot of different people stepping forward and saying, I want to run. And so what we have to do is try to make the most judicious decision necessary. And let me tell you what some of my biases are. And I've heard this. Ms. Sarver, I've heard this, I've heard this, I've heard this. I have a sentimental bias. Not a sentiment, that's the way of saying it. I just believe that we as a group have already made a statement. We made a statement in the assembly races that the very male-dominated assembly was going to have women representatives. And so who do we support? We supported Grace Spencer as a black woman assembly person, the first person to go back as a black woman from that district since Winona Lippman. Okay? In the other district, we in the Central Ward supported people like Cleopatra Tucker to go back and represent that great Donald Tucker, that great name that Donald Tucker made so real. So we've done a great job as a group of elevating women in a male-dominated political game, and that's important. And so that's one thing that I'm definitely looking at to take care of Rika. That's one of the things I'm looking at. The other thing is we got to understand something. I hate to tell you this, but we got to win. We can't get involved in this fight and lose, or get involved in a fight that in some other way could put us in a position where we slide backwards as a political organization. And that was a phenomenal point that you made, that we've been saying as well, that we've got to understand. Sometimes we want to not look at it, we just don't have a chance to fight, but a fighting chance. And that's something that we're going to really look at, is who can we partner up with, who can we make alliances with in the city so that we ensure that our candidate can win no matter who they are. So those are my 3 things. One is I want to make sure that we have the right person in there that's not going to go in there and try to destroy or take us backwards. Okay, we don't want to go back to where we were. In the Central Ward especially, precincts that don't work, development that wasn't going to the local community, parks that weren't being built. We want to make sure we have somebody who's going to bring us forward. We want to make sure that we give the opportunity to find a female. We want to really see if we can advance that. And then the last one is to make sure that we really have a chance to win it. That I'm not pushing everybody in this room into a fight that at the end of the day we'll see Obama go to the White House, but in our local election have taken a loss. So those are the things that we're looking at right now. Some of you might have heard me. I have really tried to take a step back. I've tried to go to other camps around the city and just say, who do you want? Who do you want? And letting our camp just wait for a little while, and that's really where we are. But by the end of the week, or by the early next week, probably by Friday or Saturday, the people's cards are going to be shown, and we're going to have to make a choice. And I hope to talk to some more people in this room. But when we say go, this is something I hope, is that we can have discipline of an organization. And this is the kind of thing that we have to learn, and this is the kind of thing that the North Ward machine boss does real well, is that if we all decide to go right, we all have to go right even if we don't like it, even if we don't agree about it.
Right.
If we're not like that, it's just like, oh, this time I'm with you because I like what you're doing. This next time I don't like what you're doing. I'm not going to go. That's the wrong way to go for a common community advancement. As we say sometimes, I say in Jermaine in my office when we have our senior staff meeting, like none of us are going to get everything we want. We can advocate like crazy for our position. But once that decision is made, we all need to work together to achieve our goals. All right? So, remember what we are about. We're not about politics. We're a political organization, but we're not about politics. We're about achieving results for our community. Politics is a means to a greater end. And in that case, again, I want to thank this room. And I know we got a great North Ward group, South Ward group, East West Ward, East Ward. But I have to tell you, this is my base in this room. People in this room have been fighting with me for about 15 years on this journey to make change in the city. And I'm so grateful because there are people in this room that sustain me every day, support me, pray for me, work with me, pull me aside, whisper in my ear when they think I'm doing right or think I'm doing wrong. But nobody's abandoned me, and that's something that means so much to me. So you all have my gratitude. I'm now covered in sweat. Why don't I answer a couple questions, and then Jay, then we'll close it out. Okay, questions right. There are two right here. Ladies first, and then the gentleman.
Hi, I'm Deborah Granger. Most of you know me. I'm a detective also in Newark. I've been here 49 years. All of my life, my parents were civil rights activists here. I think for the Central Ward seat, it must be filled, but it does not need to be gender biased. It should be filled by the best person possible for the job that's going to move us forward. Be it male or be it female. So let's not just get stuck in finding a female. Let's find the best person
I
for the job.
so appreciate that. Let me echo that. But let me tell you something right now. So everything she said is 1,000% true, but I want to moderate it a little bit. I know right now, if we could just anoint the Central Ward Council person, we would find a phenomenal person. There's some people in this room, frankly, that would be the best person possible. So the only moderation of that is we also have to be acceptable of the political realities in which we exist. The best person possible in this political reality, where they're already mounting Charlie Bell and another faction, we also have to we're not demonizing individuals. But I'm simply saying that we might pick somebody and somebody say, well, that's not the best person, but it might be the person that can win and the person that will do those things that we know we need to get done, which means working with our group to get things done. So that's only moderation. Because there's some people in this room, if I was just czar of Newark, not mayor of Newark, if I was czar, I would just point to somebody and say, you should be the council person. But we've got to weigh it against the political realities as well. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you and your whole organization concerning these initiatives. One important one that you said, but you had a lot of ground to cover, and that was the initiative I'm glad to see you took from the leaders, the continued social program for young people.
Yes.
And I'd like to be involved.
Thank you very much. So that's what he said. Go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But one thing, because I cannot come in, I congratulate you. And I want all to remember that I invited your mother and father to my church after seeing you back in church when you were first one.
Thank you very much.
And I don't regret it. But one thing I do not see is, and that's the one fight I have, is that Newark must employ Newarkers. Why is there crime on Maple Avenue that interconnects with middle income and upper middle income neighborhood? Because the kids in that neighborhood don't have jobs. The people in that neighborhood shop in the Short Hills Mall or the Livingston Mall or wherever you shop. But we got to put our local work. And the only thing I'm saying, and then I'll shut up, is the fact that these construction sites, you don't see people.
So let me comment on a few things. Let me comment on a few things. So first and foremost, what he's saying is a major problem with Newark, and we got to admit it to ourselves. Right now, we have every single year, we take our money, about over $500 million every year, and we shop outside of Newark in restaurants and grocery stores, buying our electronics, what we call, with the economists, we got Boston Consulting is going to do a study for us. We hemorrhage our own money. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars outside of the city of Newark, which causes a retail leakage, they call it. Which means right now, actually, this was the beginning, we're starting to change it, but right at the beginning of this administration, 2006, Jersey City had twice the retail jobs that we had, because we're taking our retail money and going shopping in places like Jersey City. So what we need to do is create more of a business class here. One of the motivations behind the Minority Loan Fund to try to create more local businesses that can get things done. The second thing is, the last point I already committed, we have to do better about getting people in Newark to abide by the laws of Newark. So some of the big companies I'm very happy about, Continental, PSE&G, but these work sites, and this is why I told you guys, and I'm glad there's no press here, but I'm telling you guys right now, we're going to start, we're doing all the legal work now because we don't want to overstep our bounds. In some ways, we might not have the constitutional power to do these things. But if other people aren't doing it, we might push the envelope a little bit. But something's going to happen starting in October or November in the city of Newark. That you're going to see me rolling around the city and going to work sites and shutting them down. Challenging people to sue me. So all I want to know is if I go to jail for this, I'm visiting.